So at the age of 18, with nothing but a backpack and a few dollars in her pocket, Daisy left her hometown. She traveled to the big city, determined to carve out a future for herself. Those first few months were brutal. She slept on park benches, worked multiple jobs just to afford a meal, and faced rejection after rejection as she pursued her passion for art. But Daisy didn't give up. She didn't turn back when things got tough. Instead, she dug deeper. She used every setback as a stepping stone, every challenge as an opportunity to learn and grow. She spent her nights studying, her days working and creating. And slowly, bit by bit, her persistence began to pay off. Today, Daisy is one of the most respected artists in her field. Her work hangs in galleries around the world, inspiring thousands. But more than that, Daisy has become a beacon of hope for others in her hometown. She's living proof that when you choose the hardest path, when you refuse to settle for mediocrity, you can achieve things beyond your wildest dreams. The hardest path is not just about the destination. It's about who you become along the way. It's about the strength you develop, the wisdom you gain, and the character you build when you choose to face your fears, to push through discomfort, to embrace the unknown. You are not just moving towards a goal, you are transforming yourself.
With so many holiday homes on Booking.com, there are so many Tina Feys I could be. I could book a beach house.
When you exercise, when you push your body to its limits, it's not comfortable. Your muscles ache, your lungs burn, you sweat and struggle. But what happens as a result? You become stronger, more resilient, more capable. The same principle applies to every aspect of our lives. When we choose the hard path, when we embrace the struggle, we're essentially exercising our spirits, our minds, our very souls. Now, I am not saying that every moment of the journey will be enjoyable. There will be times when you want to give up, times when the easy path looks also tempting. The easy path leads to a life of regret. It leads to a life of what ifs and if onlys. The hard path, on the other hand, leads to a life of fulfillment, of purpose, of knowing that you gave it your all. Let me tell you about another individual I know. His name is Michael. Michael was born into poverty in a neighborhood where crime was rampant and hope was scarce. From a young age, he was surrounded by negative influences. People who told he would never amount to anything, that his dreams were foolish. But Michael had a vision. He saw beyond his current circumstances. He dreamed of becoming a doctor, of healing people, of making a difference in the world. Now, the easy path for Michael would have been to accept his circumstances, to fall into the traps that had ensnared so many others in his community. But Michael chose differently. He chose the hard path. Every day, Michael would wake up at 4 a.m. to study before school. He worked odd jobs on weekends to save money for college. He faced ridicule from his peers, who couldn't understand why he was working so hard. But Michael kept his eyes on the prize. He knew that the hardest path would lead him to the best destination. Years passed. Michael faced countless obstacles. There were times when he could barely afford to eat, times when he thought about giving up, but he persevered. And today, Michael is not just a doctor. He's a renowned surgeon who has saved countless lives. More than that, he's established a foundation that provides scholarships to underprivileged youth, giving them the opportunity to pursue their dreams. When Michael chose the hard path, he didn't just change his own life. He created a ripple effect that continues to impact lives to this day. That's the power of choosing the hardest path. It's not just about personal success, it's about creating a legacy that extends far beyond ourselves. What if I choose the hard path and don't reach my destination? My friends, there is no such thing as failure on the hardest path. Every setback, every obstacle, every moment of these are not failures. They are opportunities for growth, for learning, for becoming stronger. A diamond. Do you know how a diamond is formed? It's created under immense pressure, deep within the earth. Without that pressure, without that intense heat, a diamond would never come into existence. You, my friends, are like that diamond. The pressure you face, the heat of your challenges, these are not destroying you. They are transforming you into something precious, something valuable, something unbreakable. Let me share one more story with you. This is the story of a man named David. David was a successful businessman, living what many would consider a dream life. He had the big house, the fancy car, the hefty bank account. But despite all his material success, David felt empty inside. He had taken the easy path, choosing a career that brought him money but not fulfillment. One day, David decided he'd had enough. He made the difficult decision to leave his comfortable life behind and pursue his true passion, environmental conservation. Now, this wasn't an easy choice. David had to start from scratch in a new field. He had to learn new skills, face new challenges, and deal with the uncertainty of leaving a stable career for an unknown future. The path David chose was hard. There were sleepless nights, financial struggles, and moments of self-doubt. But as he persevered, something remarkable happened. David found a sense of purpose he had never known before. He started a non-profit organization dedicated to protecting endangered species. His work began to make a real difference in the world. Today, David's organization has saved countless animals from extinction. He's traveled the world, speaking to thousands about the importance of conservation. And the spark in his eyes when he talks about his work is something money could never buy. By choosing the hardest path, David not only found his true calling, but also made a significant impact on the world. The hardest path is not just about personal achievement. It's about aligning ourselves with our true purpose, about living a life of meaning and significance. When we choose the easy path, we might gain temporary comfort, but we lose the opportunity to become who we're truly meant to be. Now, I want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but I am not special. I don't have any extraordinary talents or abilities. Greatness is not about having special talents. It's about having the courage to pursue your dreams relentlessly. About having the determination to keep going when others would quit. Every single one of you has greatness within you. Every single one of you has the potential to achieve amazing things. But that potential will remain dormant unless you choose to walk the hardest path. Unless you choose to push yourself beyond your comfort zone, to face your fears, to embrace the challenges that come your way. Think about the great achievers throughout history, the inventors, the leaders, the change makers. Do you think their paths were easy? Do you think they achieved greatness by taking shortcuts? No, they chose the hardest path. They faced ridicule, rejection, and failure. But they persevered. They kept pushing forward, driven by their vision of what could be. You have that same power within you. You have the ability to shape your destiny, to create a life of meaning and purpose. But it won't happen by itself. It won't happen if you sit back and wait for opportunities to come to you. You must be willing to step out, to take risks, to choose the path that others shy away from. I want to talk about something that often holds us back from choosing the hardest path. Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of the unknown. Fear of what others might think. These fears can be paralyzing. They can keep us stuck in our comfort zones, preventing us from reaching our full potential. Fear not your enemy. Fear is a natural response to stepping into the unknown, to pushing beyond our limits. The presence of fear does not mean you are doing something wrong. In fact, it often means you are doing something right. It means you are growing, expanding, becoming more than you were before. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to learn to act in spite of it. To feel the fear and do it anyway. Because on the other side of fear, that's where the magic happens. That's where growth occurs. That's where you discover strengths you never knew you had. I want to address something that often comes up when we talk about choosing the hardest path. Some people might say, but is not life hard enough already? Why should I deliberately make things harder for myself? This is a valid question, and it deserves a thoughtful answer. There's a fundamental difference between the hardships that life throws at us randomly and the challenges we choose to take on in pursuit of our goals. The former can often leave us feeling victimized, powerless. But the latter, the challenges we choose, they empower us. They give us a sense of control over our lives. When we choose the hardest path, we're not making our lives miserable. We're investing in ourselves. We're saying, I believe in my potential so much that I am willing to endure temporary discomfort for long-term gain. It's like going to the gym. The workout might be tough, you might sweat and strain, but you leave feeling stronger, more energized, more alive. The hardest path is not about suffering for the sake of suffering. It's about growth, about becoming the best version of ourselves. It's about living life fully, squeezing every ounce of potential out of our time on this earth. At the end of your life, what do you want to be able to say? Do you want to say, I played it safe, I avoided risks, I stayed comfortable? Or do you want to say, I gave it my all, I pursued my dreams, I became the person I was meant to be? Resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to keep going when things get tough. And let me tell you, when you choose the hardest path, you are going to need resilience in spades. Resilience is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you face a challenge and overcome it, you are building your resilience. Every time you fall and get back up, you are becoming stronger. Let me tell you about a man named John. John was a talented athlete with dreams of competing at the highest level. But during a crucial game, he suffered a devastating injury. The doctors told him he might never play again. For many, this would have been the end of the road. The easy path would have been to give up on his dreams, to find a new direction in life. But John chose differently. He chose the hard path. He committed himself to rehabilitation with a fervor that amazed his doctors. He spent hours every day working to regain his strength, pushing through pain and discouragement. There were days when progress seemed impossible, when the temptation to quit was overwhelming. But John persevered. And slowly, bit by bit, he began to improve. It took years of hard work, of setbacks and small victories. But eventually, John not only returned to his sport, he went on to compete at the international level, winning medals and breaking records. By choosing the hardest path, John didn't just recover from his injury. He became stronger than he had ever been before. He developed a level of mental toughness, of resilience that served him not just in sports, but in every area of his life. That's the power of resilience. That's the power of choosing the hardest path. It does not just lead you to your goals, it transforms you in the process. It makes you stronger, more capable, more resilient than you ever thought possible. The opinion of others. We live in a world where everyone has an opinion, where social media amplifies every voice. And when you choose to pursue your dreams, when you choose the hardest path, not everyone will understand. There will be people who tell you you are crazy. People who say you are wasting your time. People who try to pull you back into the comfort of mediocrity. And dealing with these voices can be one of the hardest parts of the journey. The only opinion that truly matters is your own. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in your dreams? That's what counts. Let me tell you about a woman named Maria. Maria grew up in a small town where expectations for women were limited. When she announced her dream of becoming a pilot, she was met with laughter and ridicule. Women don't become pilots, they told her. Be realistic, they said. But Maria refused to let their opinions define her. She chose the hardest path. She worked multiple jobs to pay for flying lessons. She studied late into the night, preparing for her exams. And yes, there were times when the weight of others' disbelief almost crushed her spirit. But Maria persevered. And today, she's not just a pilot, she's the captain of international flights, breaking barriers and inspiring a new generation of women to pursue their dreams, no matter how impossible they might seem, by refusing to let others' opinions limit her. Maria didn't just achieve her dreams, she changed the narrative. She proved that with determination and hard work, you can overcome any obstacle, break any barrier. Self-dash belief the journey to your best destination is not just an external one, it's an internal journey as well. And often, the biggest battles you will face will be in your own mind. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you question whether you are on the right path, whether you are capable of reaching your destination. These moments of self-doubt can be more challenging than any external obstacle you face. You are capable of far more than you realize. You have strengths and abilities that you haven't even tapped into yet. And it's only by choosing the hardest path, by pushing yourself beyond your perceived limits, that you will discover the full extent of your potential. A time when you accomplished something you initially thought was impossible. Maybe it was passing a difficult exam, or completing a challenging project at work, or overcoming a personal fear. How did you feel afterwards? I bet you felt a sense of pride, of accomplishment. But more than that, I bet you felt a shift in how you saw yourself. You realized you were capable of more than you had previously believed. Let me share with you the story of a man named Robert. Robert grew up in a rough neighborhood, surrounded by negativity and low expectations. From a young age, he was told he wouldn't amount to much. These messages sank deep into his psyche, shaping how he saw himself and his potential. But Robert had a spark inside him, a tiny flame of ambition that refused to be extinguished. One day he stumbled upon a book about entrepreneurship. As he read, something clicked inside him. He realized that he had the power to shape his own destiny, regardless of his circumstances. Robert decided to start his own business. Now, this wasn't an easy decision. He had no experience, no connections, and very little money. The odds were stacked against him. But Robert chose the hardest path. He committed himself fully to his goal. The journey was tough. There were countless setbacks, days when he couldn't afford to eat, nights when he questioned everything. He started to see himself not as a victim of his circumstances, but as the architect of his future. This shift in self-perception was profound. It gave him the strength to keep going when things got tough, the courage to take risks, the resilience to bounce back from failures. Today, Robert's business is thriving. He employs dozens of people from his old neighborhood, providing opportunities where once there was only despair. But the most significant change is in Robert himself. He's no longer the insecure young man who doubted his worth. He's confident, purposeful, alive with possibility. By choosing the hardest path, Robert didn't just build a successful business, he rebuilt himself from the inside out. He discovered strengths he never knew he had, developed skills he never thought he could master, and cultivated a level of self-belief that transformed every aspect of his life. This is the hidden benefit of choosing the hardest path. Yes, it leads to external achievements, but more importantly, it leads to...
Loving Voxy Mobile's unlimited social media. I'm well into these backcracking videos.
Really?
That's a good one. Can I do yours?
No chance.
The fun never ends with unlimited social media on Voxy Mobile. Selected social apps in UK. TNCs apply.
Internal transformation. It reshapes how you see yourself and your place in the world. The fear of making mistakes. Many people shy away from challenges because they are afraid of messing up, of looking foolish, of failing. Mistakes are not your enemy. They are not something to be feared or avoided. In fact, mistakes are one of your greatest teachers on the path to your best destination. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to learn. It's a chance to gain new insights, to refine your approach, to become wiser and more skilled. The people who achieve great things aren't those who never make mistakes. They are the ones who learn from their mistakes and keep moving forward. Let me tell you about a woman named Emily. Emily had a dream of becoming a world-renowned chef. She enrolled in a prestigious culinary school, excited to learn and grow. But on her first day in the kitchen, disaster struck. She'd burn the dish she was preparing, filling the kitchen with smoke and setting off the fire alarm. Emily was mortified. She thought about quitting right then and there. But instead, she chose to embrace this mistake as a learning opportunity. She asked her instructor what went wrong, studied the proper techniques more closely, and practiced tirelessly to improve. As her training continued, Emily made more mistakes. She overcooked meats, under-seasoned sauces, and even cut her finger while chopping vegetables. But with each mistake, she learned. She refined her skills, developed her palate, and honed her techniques. Today, Emily is indeed a world-renowned chef. Her restaurant has earned Michelin stars, and food critics praise her innovative, flawless dishes. But ask Emily about her success, and she'll tell you that her mistakes were just as important as her triumphs in getting her where she is today. By choosing the hardest path, by being willing to make mistakes and learn from them. Emily didn't just become a great chef. She developed a growth mindset, a willingness to take risks and learn from failures. And this mindset has served her well in every aspect of her life. Persistence. Persistence is the ability to stay committed to your goals even when things get tough. And let me tell you, when you choose the hardest path, persistence will be your most valuable ally. Success rarely happens overnight. It's not about making one big, heroic effort. It's about showing up day after day, putting in the work, staying committed to your vision even when progress seems slow. Share with you the story of a woman named Grace. Grace had a dream of a published author. She had a story inside her that she believed needed to be told. So she set out to write her novel. Now, Grace quickly discovered that writing a book was much harder than she had anticipated. Some days the words flowed easily. Other days she stared at a blank page for hours. She faced writer's block, self-doubt, and criticism from others who didn't understand her dream. It took Grace 2 years to finish her first draft. But when she sent it out to publishers, she received nothing but rejections. Dozens of rejections. It would have been easy for Grace to give up at this point, to decide that maybe she wasn't cut out to be a writer after all. But Grace chose to persist. She took the feedback she received, revised her manuscript, and kept sending it out. She attended writing workshops to improve her craft. She joined a writing group for support and accountability. And she kept writing, starting work on her second novel, even as she continued to seek publication for her first. It took 3 more years, countless revisions, and over 100 rejections before Grace finally received an offer of publication. But when her book was finally released, it resonated with readers in a way she had always hoped it would. It became a bestseller, touching lives and opening doors Grace had never imagined. Grace didn't just become a published author. She developed a level of tenacity and resilience that has served her well in every area of her life. She learned that persistence is not about never failing, it's about never giving up. I want to address something that often holds people back from choosing the hardest path: the desire for immediate results. We live in a world of instant gratification. We're used to getting what we want quickly and easily. But the truth is, the most worthwhile achievements in life don't happen overnight. A tree, when you plant a seed, you don't see results immediately. For a long time, it might seem like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, roots are growing, strengthening, preparing to support the tree that will one day stand tall. Your journey on the hardest path is like that. There will be times when it feels like you are not making progress, when your efforts seem futile. But if you stay committed, if you keep putting in the work day after day, you will eventually see the fruits of your labor. Let me tell you about a man named James. James had a dream of running a marathon. Now, James wasn't an athlete. In fact, when he first started training, he couldn't run for more than a few minutes without getting winded. But James committed himself to the hardest path. He started small, running for just a few minutes each day, gradually increased his distance and his speed. There were days when he felt like he wasn't making any progress at all. Days when his muscles ached and his lungs burned and he wondered if he was foolish for even trying. But James persisted. He kept showing up day after day, week after week, month after month. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, he began to change. His endurance improved. His form got better. Running became easier, more natural. It took James a year of consistent training before he was ready to attempt his first marathon. And when he crossed that finish line, exhausted but exhilarated, he realized something profound. The marathon wasn't just about the race itself. It was about the person he had become through the process of training, by choosing the hardest path, by committing to the long game. James didn't just become a marathon runner. He developed discipline, perseverance, and mental toughness. He learned to set long-term goals and work consistently towards them. He discovered a strength within himself that he never knew existed. The power of purpose. Choosing the hardest path is not just about achieving external goals. It's about aligning your life with a deeper sense of purpose, with something that gives your journey meaning and significance. When you have a strong sense of purpose, it acts like a compass, guiding you through the challenges and obstacles you will face on the hardest path. It gives you the strength to persevere when things get tough, the courage to take risks, the resilience to bounce back from setbacks. A story of a woman named Sophia. Sophia had a successful career in finance. From the outside, she seemed to have it all: a high-paying job, a luxurious lifestyle, respect from her peers. But deep down, Sophia felt empty. She realized that her work, while profitable, didn't align with her values or give her a sense of fulfillment. So Sophia made a bold decision. She left her job in finance to start a non-profit organization focused on providing education to underprivileged children. This was the hardest path she could have chosen. She had to learn an entirely new field.